Okay, so what is Do You Speak Bride, and how does that have to do with exactly special occasion? Well, if you've got a bridal shop or a special occasion shop, you already know the connections between the two and how the mindsets can be similar. And so much of what brides expect is trickling down to what prom girls expect, yes? And what they're looking to experience. So let's dig into some of those things to start off with. This first session, we're going to talk about the 7 lies that I see as I travel speaking to stores and speaking at markets. And in the 7 lies, you're going to find the other thing in your email that you got of what we're going to be talking about is the secret bridge between the branding and your bottom line, right? So in these 7 lies, you're going to find some of that bridge as well. Okay, first one is this. So when I was dating, right, waiting to find Mr. Right, or him find me, or whatever it is. There's some guys, like there's this one guy who I traveled on a drama team with and a music team with, and we sang together, and he thought we were supposed to be together forever, right? He thought this was it for a long time. So I remember I was talking to a lady, and she was like, well, you're still single, Wendy. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I'm enjoying it. It's good. I like it, actually. And she goes, but what about Ricky? And I was like, yeah, no, he's great. He's great. Just, I don't know, just not it, just not. And I said, it's like I have to work so hard to make it seem like everything is his idea. Does that make sense? Like I have to do gymnastics emotionally to make sure he feels okay in the relationship, that everything was his idea. And I don't like that. I don't feel like, I don't want to do that the rest of my life. You know what I mean? That just seemed like, and she looked at me and she was like, oh, sweetheart, we all do that. And she was like, you're just trying to wait for the perfect person, and they don't exist. And I just didn't love that. I didn't love it when people said that. Oh, you're just waiting for the perfect person, you're too picky. Because you know what they're saying to me? Make sure you settle. Don't think that you deserve more than the rest of us who are hating our existence with our partner. Do you know what I'm saying? You just need to go settle so that the rest of us feel good that we settled. Does that make sense? At least that's what communicated to me as a person. Instead of someone coming alongside and saying, I want you to know you have everything you need for your life. And if someone comes along and enhances that experience for you and you for them, and that's mind-blowing, go forward. But do not think there's a time frame or there's a formula for it to happen or whatever. It's going to happen when it's supposed to happen in your story, if it's supposed to happen, right? But you have everything you need right here to live how you are supposed to live and do what you're supposed to do. You're amazing. Don't you dare settle. That's what I wanted to hear. That's what every one of us wants to hear. In fact, now that's what I scream from the rooftops, because along comes Gabe. And Gabe was the last thing in the world that I thought I would end up with. You know why? He was everything in the world I wanted when I met him, but he's way younger than I am. And at the time, substantially. Not that it's changed over the years, but I'm saying when we met, it was very dramatic. It was very dramatic. Not because it was just on a drama team, but I was the leader of the team. I was the playwright. He had to audition for me, actually, and he was a member of the team. He's 8 years younger than I am. So when the day we met, I had already just then turned, a few weeks before, just turned 27. He was still 18. So that's pretty dramatic at the time. And when we got married, we were in the same decade, 21 and 29. So that was awesome. But still, he turned 19 just a few weeks later. But what did Gabe do when he came into my life? He did not say to me, your expectations are too high. He did not get offended by expectations. In fact, he freed me to keep them and never claimed that he would win over them. Does that make sense? He just did. He just did. And then it was like, I don't care if that man ends up being a trash collector or whatever. I have to be with him. I have to be with him because he knew how to reach inside and value the person inside, right? So why do people end up believing this very down to their core? Somebody tell me from customers. There's a good reason why we believe it, but what are those reasons? What expectations are too high? Go ahead. Yes. Mhm. Yeah. Yes. And I think, correct me if, how many of you here are prom only? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. And just so I can see the contrast, how many of you are bridal and prom? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is the majority, just because of here at Jovani, the majority of what I will answer will be more heavily on the prom side, but I will refer some to the bridal because there's so much I want to talk about with bridal as well. But I want to make sure we balance for the stores that are only prom, right? So the experience, because this is the same thing that trickles down to prom. They can get this grand idea of what it will be. I'm going to go shopping with all my friends, and we're going to have, whether it's friends I really like or not, I'm going to bring my frenemies, and we're going to be kind of, we're going to make sure I somehow fit in with this experience, or we have our little club doing it, which ends up imploding, right? It's interesting their expectation to what reality kind of is in the moment, because they're actually going for they're shooting for the wrong goal, right? Yeah, so their expectation can then be disappointed if that's there. Also, we can then, well, I'll skip to the next one. Okay, so staying here with your expectations are too high. Their expectations of bridal, their expectations of prom. What is their expectation in prom that's, yes? Yes. Yes, good one. Very good one. Yes. That's right. Exactly. So true. Now, for, yes, that's correct. Right. They have not yet paid for that. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. I want to be unique. Give me the one that everyone has. Yeah. Right. Yes. Very true. Okay, so the first thing is their expectations are too high. But what I want you to know is that their expectations are high, but the lie part of it is that they're too high. All right. That the reason I say that is because we look at this and they come in with an expectation. Instead of thinking that expectation is too high, if we think I have all the tools to educate them, to empower them, there is nothing that they can expect that I can't pivot to empower them to know how to have the right expectations. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not the problem with the expectations. It's the problem with our ability to give, receive, pivot, teach, empower so that they can move in the right direction. You could look at the way I want us to look at it is, let's say a teacher. She has a class of K-5 students, and she has one with English as a second language, one with ADHD, one on the autism spectrum. One, do you see what I'm saying? How, does she come in and be and her, if her attitude is, well, the problem is that you have ADHD? Is that a problem to an equipped teacher? No, it's not. So that's how I want to change our thinking about it. Instead of thinking your expectation is the problem, no, 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 no. We're going to understand, everyone here, whenever you said what the expectations were, everyone's head was going like this and going, yep, oh, yep. Why? We all experience the same customers. We all experience the same issues, and it shows itself in different ways. Everybody is definitely an individual, but it's across the board, the things that we face, isn't it? It's not something that somebody in California faces that's so different than somebody in South Carolina. They might be drawn to different dresses, but the customer's expectations that we face tend to be the same. Even all the way over into Spain and to the UK, it's the same questions we get. So what we need to start doing is this. Thank you, customers. that you have provided us such a consistent issue that we can now solve it. Because if we can solve it, right, we shouldn't be shocked anymore. It shouldn't be like, oh, good, I got that kid out of my class. Next year, I'm going to have all perfectly wonderful, average, and higher than average students. It's not. The next year, you're going to have another set of problems with similar things, but you're more equipped. You're more equipped after your first year. You can know how to handle this, and this, and give the information in ways that they can understand it, right? So we're going to change the lie in your stylists' minds as well. And this starts with the culture in our store. And I want you to understand, did anybody see the movie Wonder Woman? Anybody see that? No, yeah, so many cool messages in that, by the way. Yeah, so one of the things, what did they tell her when she was little? What did they tell her? I don't know if you remember. I know you probably only watched it once and you're like, I don't know, just she's Wonder Woman with those bracelets. What? They told her, you are stronger than you think you are. Right? You're stronger than you think you are. And that's what I want to say to you and for you to say to your stylists. You are stronger and smarter and better than you think you are. Do not say, I coach sports, right? I used to coach sports. I miss coaching sports. But you cannot say, I wish that other team would stop hitting the ball to us that way. You can't. You just have to get better at digging, right? You have to practice better at digging. You can't say, stop it. If you wouldn't have hit from that angle, you can't. So the customer is not our enemy. They are the ones we are serving. But they're lobbing things at us or shooting things at us in such a way that when we learn to adjust and dig, and then we can actually lead and win. Right? But we have to be empowered to do it. So let's take a few of these at once. And I didn't plan on doing it this way, but I'd like to address it because I don't want to skip out on some of the questions that you have. Because you get the principle, yeah? But how does it practically look? How does it practically look when they come in and they show you a picture of a $10,000 dress on a perfect body and they've got $200 and they're a size 18, right? So you've got this that you're facing. And let me tell you, never forget this time period in this girl's life. And I'm going to talk specifically in prom first. Do you remember high school? Do you remember junior high? How hard was that time in your life? How scary was it? How many important moments do you still remember that affected you, good or bad, from that time period in your life? What do moms experience at this time in their child's life? Somebody tell me, what is a mom going through at this time in this child's life? What is it? Oh, yeah. And then she's about to go into a place where not only all of that she's experiencing at home is that, now she's got to go spend money in an environment that she's going to face frankly, think about this, all of the battles she's facing as a mom, she's about to face it in front of other people on a higher scale with her daughter in the choice of this dress. Moms want their daughters to be happy. What else do they want their daughters to be? Let's say a good mom wants her daughter to be look better than everyone else. A good mom buys Jovani. That's she wants her daughter to look better than everyone else. She wants her daughter to be confident. What else? Feel the best she can, be the best version of herself, right? To walk out there and know she's amazing. A mom wants her daughter to do that. What are moms afraid of for their daughters at this time in their life? Mean girls. What else? Name calling. What else? Insecurity. I think relationships with, boys. Prom night. Think about a mom, the fear that she's having. I'm about to choose the dress that may or may not encourage things I don't want to happen on prom night. Right? And I'm going to be paying for it. I'm the one paying for that. So and honestly, you know how fast life goes. Life just goes by so fast. Just yesterday, this girl was starting kindergarten. And the mom is looking at her in a formal dress that makes her look extremely grown up and is going to take her to get her hair and makeup done and nails done. And that mom never did that until she was in college, right? She's watching this 14-year-old, to her, look 26. And so brakes are on. Brakes are on. Or she's trying to say, please slow down, life. Let me still have control over this life. Let me still stop this. Oh, I can't go. Oh, no, I'm afraid. No. I can't. Listen, if you knew my daughter, you wouldn't be able to trust her either. I'm going to think for her, right? Sometimes moms have a hard time transitioning from stages in their child's life to giving them more freedom, to giving them more opinions, to giving them, right? They have a hard time transitioning. And it's going to be played out on a stage in front of stylists, in front of other moms. It's going to be played out. If we stop as a shop and individually remember before that day starts, our job, this is what I tell bridal stylists all the time, and this would also include prom, but bridal stylists especially, but our job is to create, facilitate, and define life moments. That's our job. We create them. We know how to facilitate them. In other words, we know how to connect people, build teams, make sure they feel things they never thought they could feel. Maybe they've never felt towards each other. We can make them, at the end, we facilitated so much connection that they're hugging each other and they never thought that would be the case. We facilitate a life moment, but we can't stop there. We also have to define it. We have to say verbally, can I just tell you what I love watching? I love watching how you two communicate what you actually love to each other. And this is just a cool moment right here. When you're lit up when she walks out, or when you define it and you say, I just love watching it. I just had to say that. It's our job. Isn't that interesting? If we have that as our goal, suddenly your staff becomes creative, their creative powers click on, and we start thinking of how we can create things that will help make new experiences and new lifetime moments, settings and things like that. We get our minds on about that. But see, if we believe the lie that they expect too much, that's the last thing in the world we want to think of is another way to make them happy. See how this affects your shop? It's a lie that affects your shop. If you believe our job is to create, facilitate, and define life moments, you create a culture of love and giving. And do you realize that nobody can take something from you that you are giving to them? You ever seen, I love coming to New York because I love Broadway. I love it. Yesterday we saw Wicked. It was amazing. I was on the front row and I was like a giddy little schoolgirl. I wanted to stand up during every song, sing it with them, and it was so amazing. But Les Mis is one of my favorites ever. I don't know if any of you have seen Les Mis, Les Miserables. Oh, okay, my people right here. So in Les Mis, do you remember the scene where he's escaped from, it's at the beginning, he's escaped, he's on parole. Well, he hasn't escaped, he's on parole, but he can't get a job, right? So then a priest takes him in. And he gives him food and he lets him eat right there at his table and all of that. And then while the priest goes to bed, he looks kind of at that table and he sees the silverware and the plate and stuff like that. And he's like, that's my key for money to freedom. He puts those in a bag and he runs, he steals it. And then he gets caught, he gets brought back and the priest comes out and the police say, he says that you gave him this, right? We caught him, he was running, and he says you gave him this. And what does the priest say? That is right. But my friend, you left so early. Surely something slipped your mind. You forgot. And he goes over and gets these ginormous candelabras. I gave these also. Right? Why does he say that? Because he knew when he took him in, everything that's mine is yours. And when you have that posture, no one's taking from you. Do you see that? You understand them better than they understand themselves. And you're saying to them, what you want is a life moment, and you are so worthy of it that is my goal. Do you see that difference? It changes our interaction with people. It changes us from, get away from me, you're going to try to ruin my dresses and break the zippers, and you're going to try to, you're going to try to squeeze your daughter into that dress that's too small and hurt my merchandise, and it's expensive, right? Because really, that's where our focus is. And I will tell you this, why this is hard for us. We look at our spreadsheets and Excel spreadsheets all the time. We're looking at comparing our numbers all the time in the back office. And that's not bad. It's what we have to do. We're a business. And we look at those numbers and what we spent at market. And then what's hanging in our store now. And how many people are coming. And how do we build the traffic. And da-da-da. And that turns the people into numbers. And when they walk in, We see spreadsheets and we see numbers and we see you've got to buy. And then the customer feels that you do not value them beyond what they can spend. If you switch it around and you say, no, 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 no. Yes, I have to look at the spreadsheets. Yes, I have to know my numbers. I know that. But when you come in, you are a person and you are my goal. The numbers follow. Then you can enjoy looking at the spreadsheets. But if you think that the people are the tool to get you to the goal of a number, then they cease to be a person. You gut them from being a person. You've got to see the numbers as your tool to reach the people. So we've got to control ourselves. We have to control ourselves at market, frankly. We do. We have to align with designers that believe the same way we do. I'm just going to say, from dinner last night to this today, to the initial concept of everything, we don't do prom in my store. We are just bridal because of our space. All right. Gonna open a whole new space and do it. But I have been so encouraged and excited by this designer's heart and vision and leadership and care of what they want to provide for their customer. I mean, I just think, yes, thank you. Oh my goodness, you're not just calling when it's just, so hey, time again to see you in Atlanta. Haven't talked to you in a year, or haven't talked to you, right? It's more like, hey, you know what? Here's more education. Here's more empowering for you. You can apply it across the board in your store. And they bring you here. Breakfast is all laid out. It's a beautiful setting. This is thinking how we would like to be treated as customers, right? As shops. This is how we would like market to feel, frankly, right here. And they're nailing it. Why? He is empathetic with our business. He is thinking what would help their business. And he knows if I can help their business as people, it will help his business. Do you see that? It will. So providing an experience. When you provide an experience, I want to encourage, well, we'll get to that in a bit. All right, so first lie. They're expecting too much. So now I want you to let your brain explode with you and your team on ways that you can provide experiences that are just amazing. Because then instead of back up like this, there are things you can provide without really even spending much money, right? But you get a lot of promotional out of it. You get a lot of people get excited about the sorority they're building. But we have to understand the people's expectation is not the problem. It's something that we have to educate to empower them to do, to have what they actually want. Make sense? We're going to blow their minds. Guess what? I had a checklist for the right guy. I did. I had a checklist. This is going to be the list. I was told that was a good thing to do. So I made that checklist. And when Gabe walked into my life, he was his own checklist. Like, it didn't matter anymore, the checklist, nor did it matter anyone else. He continually blew me away for things I didn't even know to put on my checklist. Do you see that? This is what we do for the customer. They might think the knot says, in order to find my perfect bridal dress, I need to schedule 5 appointments, and I need to bring the friends, and I need to make sure I sleep on it. And I mean, it's not just what the bride thinks, they're being educated in this way. And in fact, millennials, do you realize how education changed when they were in kindergarten? Education changed from the concept of individual desks to table and group discussions. So from their earliest interactions in school, it's about making decisions with the group. Now they're going to go choose prom dress and bridal gown. How do they make that important decision without their group? They're accustomed to thinking this way, right? So we have to understand it's not just, okay, this is going to be a pain. It's this is how this person operates. How do I build their team to be on my side? Do you see that? Okay, so I'm going to, again, practically, we got to go through these questions. Too expensive a dress and a picture, $200 budget. I'm going to teach you 3 words that I teach to bridal shops all the time. That is one of my favorite transitional phrases. Girl shows me the picture of a Galil Lahav. I love this, and I want the train longer, and I want the sleeves and bling all the way, right? And what price point? $500, right? And that would include alterations, right? Yeah. So the thing is, she has just shared with you from her heart and her taste. So if our first response to her is hesitation, even just hesitation, it's hurtful. Isn't that incredible? Even if you, as a stylist, immediately your brain just needs to start thinking and you're like, okay, do you see that? All I'm doing is trying to think, is there anything on our clearance rack that I can, it's bridesmaids? No. Your brain's going through it. That is insulting. That is negative to the bride and to the prom girl. So this phrase helps you to control your face and move forward to educate her. And it is the word perfect, awesome, and then so. Okay? And it sounds like this. I say to her, and is there a price point you want to stay within? She says, yeah, $500. It's like that. And I'll be like, perfect, awesome. So our gowns start at, do you see that? It's a positive response in order so that I can keep her in an emotional state where I can educate her. Okay? Perfect, awesome. So it's become such a favorite thing in bridal that we have now a t-shirt that says perfect, awesome, so. And it says on the back, do you speak bride? And because for real, it is an amazing tool. Okay, same with prom. Even your high schooler girls can do this. If you've got high schooler stylists, how many of you have high schoolers that help you in prom? Okay, as I prepared for this training, I was keeping in mind that you have high schoolers helping these things. And there needs to be things they can do and say that they're empowered to do that is not disrespectful to mom, that is still positive that a high schooler can do. So know that hopefully everything I share you can translate to whoever's helping. But do you see how that works? And I'll say, perfect, awesome. So our gowns here, the order gowns start around 1,000. They go up to around 5,500. And then we have, in our front shop, we have 20 to 80% off the gowns up there. So what we'll do is I'm going to start up there pulling for you. I'm going to pull in your price point, kind of what you described. You guys look through. If you see something you want to try or you want her to try, point to it. I will lug it. If it's beyond your 500, I'll let you know. And when we get about 4 or 5, we'll start. Sound good? All right, let's go. And I go. Yes, it was. It's rehearsed. It's that's the same thing every time. And that's exactly what I teach. It's good. But somebody break it down. What did I just do? Who's leading here? I'm leading. Am I a victim? No. Was the budget a problem? No. Have I freed them to look? Yes. How did I still lead though? I will lug it. Because you know what that allows me to do? When mom goes to the $2,000 dress and they show, oh, I want this one. First key, write this down. First key, when someone shares with you what they love or what they like, you must validate first. Your natural thought is, oh, good grief, that's 2,000. Awkward moment, right? Or that's the wrong size, and we'll get into that. But when mom pulls a $2,000 dress out, is that a beautiful dress? Absolutely. Does she have good taste? Absolutely she does. But she told you a budget, right? And you want to respect it? Yes? So I'm going to show you, I'm going to visibly show you what I teach that's called open face consulting. Open face consulting is your eyebrows are raised, you look straight at this person, you have no apology, no agenda, no other motivation, except to do exactly what they want you to do. Do you see this? Open face consulting makes all the difference in the world. Never be apologetic in your face when they're in this kind of a moment. Let me show you the difference. It's subtle, but I'm telling you it's real. And I'll teach these words and somebody will go, oh yeah, we do that. But then you'll watch how they do that and they don't do that. The word thanks can mean about 700 different things depending on how you say thanks. Right? So it's not just the language, it's how you present it. All right, so when she shows me a dress that's 2,000, I'm gonna say, oh my goodness, oh, I love that dress. I love your taste, that's awesome. So that one's 2,000, what's your thought? Do you see that? What's your thought? That's the phrase. That one's 2,000, what's your thought? It's open to whatever she wants to say or do. Do you see that? But first I validated, because as soon as I say, oh my goodness, I love that dress, I love your taste, do you see how I've kept her with me? Instead of, oh, well, that one's too, do you see the apology? Do you see the, oh, unfortunately, you don't have that money. I wish you did. You don't, evidently. It's insulting. So you have to make sure we're valuing this person. And all she hears is, she just smacked me down. Even though you're trying to respect her budget, she thinks you just smacked her down, and that's insulting. So you reward the taste, you validate the taste, you encourage the taste, and then you open face, say, this one's $2,000. What's your thought? Do you see what I mean? And then she will go, well, we could pitch in some more. Well, or she'll go, oh, no, right? She'll tell you one way or the other. Some might say, well, just for fun, right? Just for fun, we'll put it on. Guess what? Don't let it. Don't let it, because let me tell you, that's right, you're not alone. You're not alone in how people can just feel like, we don't play here. You find your dress, let me help you, you give me money, you go. That's how this relationship works. You know what I mean? But see, when you communicate self-protection in a relationship, you build walls. Right? When you communicate, when you lead with self-protection, then you are immediately building a wall between you and that person. They don't trust you. They don't believe you. They will not listen to you. You've lost your input, and they will hate you. And they will write about you. And they will, right? And you see, you know what we tend to do? We tend to then sit back and go, well, I am so sick of this entitled generation that doesn't understand business. Yeah, they can't. They're not that. They're not. It's like, that's why I call it bride country. That's why I call it bride country. It's a country. They have cultures. They have ways of interacting and speaking and relating to people. And even if they were the most logical lawyer beforehand, when they get a ring on their finger, they don't even realize it, but they enter bride country, and those cultures become their own, they have their perspectives. It's a country. And we tend to try to be like, you know what, if I could just teach them to speak business, we'd have a good relationship. But see, what we don't realize is we have set up business in their country. We've got to learn their culture. We have to learn their language. We have to respect that. We can't, well, listen, when I went to Korea for 12 days. I was on a choir that represented the United States, right? And we were the only student choir in this choral thing. It was a gorgeous, huge thing. And we toured all of Korea. And then at the end, we sang all the choirs from the countries, Germany and Russia and all this amazing professional choirs. We all converged on Seoul, Korea, and there was a 350-piece orchestra, a ginormous choir. It was televised and it was we sang Beethoven's Ninth, all of us collectively. It was heavenly. In fact, I didn't even make a sound when we sang for that particular one because I just sat there like, oh my goodness. This is so amazing. But it was my first experience in a culture that was so different from mine. I was 23 years old, wide-eyed, couldn't wait to experience everything about Korea. And, you know, there's so many cultures, the cultural things that they do that are very different than ours. And if someone then greets you with a bow or wants you to take your shoes off, you don't say, I'm sorry. We shake hands we'll shake hands. And I'm going to keep my shoes on. Okay? All right. I'm just going to look around here. You can't. You're in their culture, right? And I need us to realize speaking this language of bride, helping these prom girls in the way they are, is not something that it's not so frustrating if we can understand it's a country, it's a culture, it's something we have to work to speak and be fluent in. Do you see that? If we can work to be fluent in it, we do things that naturally we wouldn't do at home. We wouldn't do it at home, but we do it here. It's like a kindergarten teacher. When she talks to her class, she's like, and then we were in the jungle. What do you think is going to happen if we're in the jungle? Maybe there is a loud clump and a clump. What is coming? Maybe it has a big nose. And, you know, the kids are like, oh, it's the elephant. I know it's the elephant, right? When she goes home to dinner, she's not like, would you pass me the salt? Maybe you? No? Right? And I want to ask you something. Is she being fake when she's teaching her class? Are you sure? Why? How do you know that? She loves what she's doing. Why is she good at what she's doing? Somebody tell me. She loves children. You do. You have to love. And what else does she know about her class? Come on, think with me. Is she being fake here? She is. She knows how to connect and communicate with her audience. She knows how to get them back, get them back, get them back, right? Because they're just gonna, somebody gets up and they just watch the person getting up. She's like, oh, look up here, right? She knows how to connect and keep her audience. You guys, this is us. We've decided to be in an industry that's in another country with another culture that requires of us to speak and act in certain ways that maybe we wouldn't in our normal day life, in interactions with other people, but they're still people, aren't they? They're still people. And there's very different kinds of people, but they're in a certain country. If we can teach this to our stylists, it transforms how we prepare ourselves, how we train, how we view them. And you know what it also can, somebody who works to speak your language in order to communicate with you, do you appreciate that? Or do you think that was just self-serving on their part? You appreciate it. What are they communicating when they do that? What does that feel like? Why do you appreciate it? They care. Say that again. They're respecting you. They are saying, you are worthy of the effort I am spending in order to connect with you. Do you see that? Don't you expect me to speak your language? I'm going to speak my language and you're going to learn it. That's not okay. It should be a different mindset about it, right? And how fun is it to learn another culture and to help teach each other? Like when you have the posture of, I'm working to communicate with you, and I get, oh, okay, gotcha, and you get that, and then you're showing them this, and then you're all laughing and smiling. I'm telling you, when I was, another story with Korea real quick, because it's so applicable. They were taking us to all the best places in Korea. They had this thing planned out, right? And I was like, I'm not really experiencing Korea like I want to. I want to go where no one knows I'm coming. And I want to see, get to know someone personally, not just the best of the best. I mean, for me, the food was a struggle. I'm not, I remember this one soup at this very fancy, smancy restaurant, and it was just looked like water, and it had this little creature in the bottom that was open with its shell, and you're supposed to take your chopsticks and yank out whatever's in it from its home and eat it. And those things, was really hard for me. So anyway, I go down this little side road, and there's this place. It's got wooden shutters from floor to ceiling. It looked like something out of Karate Kid. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Let's go. And I wasn't supposed to leave the choir. I wasn't supposed to go off by myself. But I was ignorant enough to try this and do it. So it was naive of me, yes. But it's my favorite memory from Korea. And I walk in, and there's this, purses and fabric and things hanging and whatever. But this little Korean lady comes around, and she's hissing at me. She's going and pushing me back, and I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. 감사합니다, because that's all I know. It's 감사합니다, which is like thank you and please and I'm sorry and all of them, excuse me. And so she pushes me all the way to the door, and then I figure out my shoes were on. And I was like, oh, 감사합니다. And I take them off, and as soon as I took them off, she was like, oh, And so we go in. She could speak no English except hand sewn, right? And I only knew 감사합니다. And so she would pull something out and go, hand sewn. And I was like, oh, 감사합니다. And she, hand sewn. Oh, and we had this great interaction. And so then I didn't know what was happening, but I was just looking how beautiful this fabric was. And then she and her daughter start wrapping me in this fabric. And it's hanbok. It's actually traditional Korean wedding dress attire. And it's ironic because I wasn't even in the wedding dress industry at the time, but they wrapped me in it, right? To show me how this goes. And they put this headpiece on me. But because I'm so tall and Koreans are not, it was short on me, which they found hysterical. Like they were laughing so hard, and I'm laughing so hard because I feel like I Love Lucy and I'm just, couldn't even speak to each other. Had the best interaction. And I learned from them, and I'm learning, and they're loving it. And so I buy this little purse because I didn't have a lot of money, but I bought one of the purses. As soon as I bought the purse, they bring out pillows for us to kneel down on, and they bring out this tea for us to have together. And we drank tea at this little table, kneeling down. It was the best. Just smiling at each other. Can't really say anything. You know what I mean? And but there was connection. Your shop is a platform for human connection. That's what this is. This is a platform for human connection at a very key time in that person's life. No matter who walks in your door, whether it's a bride or a prom girl, that family is in a period of time in their life that is in transition. It's a transitional time period. And we, again, have chosen to live in that time period of transition. Transition can bring insecurity. Insecurity brings fear. So most of our customers have some sort of level of fear coming in. Our job is to anticipate as many of those things as possible and know how to communicate to somebody who made, because guess what? They're not going to come in with that expression. They're not going to come in and say, oh my goodness, I'm petrified. Or as a bride, they're not going to come in and say, please celebrate me ridiculously. That's what I want from you. But yet, it's exactly what they need and want. They're going to look like regular human beings. They are. And so then we assume they're going to behave like regular human beings, right? And they're really not, because it's a human being in a transitional period in changes that affect every single one of the people that are there with different expectations of what this is going to be. Some are happy that they're there, some are not happy that they're there, right? So that's right. So keep those things in mind. So what's one of the other questions that we had, or observations that their expectations can be too high that I haven't addressed yet, because I wanted to touch on them real quick. Yes, perfect. So especially when it comes to prom, right? So after, let's say they show me the dresses all over the internet, right? First thing we do when someone shows you something is close. Yeah, yes, that's perfect. But what are we doing in saying that? What are we doing? When, let's say they show me, validate it. That's right. So they're going to show me that, and they're going to say, oh, I love, this is what I love. First, we validate. Oh my goodness, I love that. I love the fit of that. Oh my goodness, I love your taste. Okay, so talk to me. Is it for prom? Do you want to, is being unique something that's on your heart? Are you thinking, boy, I want to have something that's so unique, right? Because, and if they say to you, yeah, because guess what they'll say to you? Yeah. Right? Right. Then you can say, awesome. I totally agree. Because this gives me a good feel for the thing you're looking for. But oh my goodness, there are some things that fall in the feel of this dress that then will stand out and will be unique. So I can't wait to show you those. And then go. Do you see what I'm saying? We look at this picture and we let it limit us instead of help us to be empowered, right? We've got to find the way to take what they give us, validate it, and pivot to how we need to then direct them, right? So that there, first thing we've got to do though, validation is the open door. We've got to earn emotional tickets. Emotional tickets are what I call how we interact with someone so that they'll open another door to us, or that they'll keep the door open to us. So earn that emotional ticket with validation. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next lie. We'll come back to questions later. How about that? Is that fair? Okay, second lie. Second lie. I'm going to make sure I want to do the order the way that I want to do it. Let me look here. If I want to switch it out. Okay, yep. Okay, here's the lie. We'll go with this one as number 2. The dress sells the dress. It's a lie. You know what this lie looks like? When your stylists come to you and they say, oh, we need this dress. Now, yes, we want to hear from our stylist things that we need. But if the constant excuse is that we don't have enough dresses, we've got to go get more dresses. We don't have the right dresses. If we had this dress, that's right. No. I hear you. This is why I'm going to show you the difference in what the lie is, what I mean. The dress doesn't sell the dress, right? It actually doesn't. Even the designer name doesn't sell the dress all the time. The designer name can bring them in, but it doesn't actually sell the dress. The dress doesn't sell itself. The designer name doesn't sell itself. So what sells dresses? Stylists sell dresses. Stylists sell dresses. But see, if the stylist believes the designer name or the dress sells the dress, then when the customer doesn't buy it, let's say she shows you the picture, you've got that dress, you put that dress on her, and she doesn't buy it. And you're frustrated with her because you absolutely nailed it from the picture. She doesn't love, because the point, it's not just the dress that sells the dress. It's us leading as stylists that actually sell the dress. And if your stylist can sell the value of first who you are as a shop, and we'll get into that, but who you are as a shop, what it means to be your customer. And secondly, knows about the value of the designers you carry and the value of that dress specifically and how the dresses fit and why they fit and what's different about this fit to this fit and what's different about this beadwork to this beadwork, and they get excited about the quality, right? They sell the value. Your stylist will sell whatever you have in your store. But our stylists get less empowered when they believe the lie that the dress or the designer name sells it. And I'm watching this play out in our area in Virginia because different shops believed different things. And the shop that believed that the dress itself sells the dress, she ran after all these dresses, right? This shop believed the designer name sells the dress, so what does she do? She runs after lots of designers. She gets too many designers because she believes that's what needs to happen to sell the dresses. And in our shop, took an opposite approach. We believe that the stylist sells the dress. So then when we go to market, we're limited in the designers we choose, and we go deep into the collections that resonate with what we do at our shop. Do you see that? We go deep into that because then I'm creating a partnership. I'm creating a trust. I'm creating a relationship with that designer. I know them. They've proven themselves with that first initial buy. I'm going to go deeper. And I'm going to go deeper. And this designer who doesn't care about me and who does not give us, nope, thank you so much, we're done. I'm going to go deeper into here. Do you see that? Lean into what is quality, what is a valuable partnership. That strengthens your store. But I want to say, in a partnership, how many people are there? Let's say in a lifelong partnership. 2. Sister wives, whatever, it's a different thing. 2. So there's 2. We have to be an actual person in the partnership. And this is what we tend to stop focusing on. And we need you to know the designer is not your brand. Your brand is you. You. What do you believe? What is your mission? Not the designer. You know what happens? We lose our identity in this business, and we act like the designer names are our identity. We hide behind it. And then we go search for who we want to put out in front as our identity. And we hide behind it instead of understanding, no. This designer is a partner to come alongside my identity and explode that and relate with that. And I, with this designer, I will explode and relate with what they represent. But we find we get too many designers in our shops. We get overrun with inventory. All of our heart is wrapped up on those racks because that's where our money went. And then we hate the people who come in and don't buy it. That's what happens. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. So then we get so possessive. I'm just going to say this. Don't shoot me now. I'm a shop owner too. But we get so possessive of those designers and policing what other shops are doing with those designers and not doing with those designers, and like, do they have it and did they sell it to them, and did that? We get all wrought up about it. Guess what? You have the power to walk away if you don't like what that designer's doing. That's the power you have. You don't know their business. You don't know their numbers all the way. You don't know it. We don't know why they do it, nor do I want to try to figure it out. All I want to figure out is my little business and what works with my little business. And if you're not helping my little business, bye-bye. Thank you so much for the dinner, and I'm out. Right? We think, but that designer gave me dinner at market every year. Big whoop, right? You got to think. So that guy took you out to dinner. He's not the one, though. You can't go because he took me out to dinner. I probably should still go out with him again. I'll go out with him again because he took me out. Yeah, he did. And he thinks there's something happening here, and there's not, right? So you need to say, yeah, I see the numbers that we did, but we didn't get to keep as much of that as I needed to. So I'm going to move on. Why? I believe the truth. Stylists sell dresses. Do you see how that empowers you? Stylists sell dresses. Yes. Oh, yes, please. Sure. Right. Very good. Very good question. Because is this not, just pandemic? Is that the word I was looking for? It's an epidemic across the board in the industry. What is the style? What is the style number? And what size was that I tried on? Or take my measurements and go and whatever, for sure. In our relationship and connection to that bride, as we educate her, it needs to be a part of our nonchalant conversation with her, all about online. Open it up as a fun discussion as you're changing her in and out of dresses. It needs to be, the more we educate her, the more we empower her to make a good decision. Now listen, she could still go. There are going to be still a percentage of girls that are going to take that gamble, that I'm going to buy on here and it's going to be this. They're just trying to sell me a dress. But our delivery and how we share about things without even being asked or without even this, just be like, oh my goodness, I have to tell you this story. So my friend, she just was thinking this is a sweater she wanted. I've got to show you this picture. You got to see this. And look at this. Like that sweater that she got, and she couldn't return it. They were like, you can return it. She can't return it. And then this dress, look at this dress. This one came up. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm talking like a friend, but it's based on a connection. And the reason they don't trust us and the reason they use us is because, one, we don't create a reason to be our customer outside of that dress. They've got to have other things, events, perks, private Facebook pages for your brides. They've got to have things that they get. I will tell you a little secret. See, you came to Jovani and you're hearing a little secret. This is a little more personal, but I mean, it's just something we just started doing. You may already be doing it. If you are, I want to talk to you afterwards because we're kindred spirits. But you know how people love being a part of a club and getting free discounts every month or something from this club? So one of the things that we have for our brides when they become an Ava Loren bride is that they get texts every month from now to forever with discounts from local vendors in our town. So like spa, nails, restaurants, whatever. And it's no money out of our pocket at all. We just send out a mass text every month and they get those discounts. So it can be a date night, it can be this, it can be that, but it's part of being an Ava Loren bride. And when I'm selling the dress, this language is what I'm leading with. And we have a private Facebook page where all these discussions are going on as you're planning your wedding, and that would be a little trickier to handle in prom. I'm just going to say this is more bridal. But with all these discussions are going on of tips and all and you get to be on that when you're one of our brides. It's super fun. And we do 2 parties for our brides a year. One in the summer. That's everybody wears white, like to start off summer. Back in the day, they called them white parties, and we do that. And then at Christmas, we do a gala, and it's this and this and this. And our brides forever get to come to these. So you just RSVP. It's free of charge to come to, and it's super fun. And see, I'm saying all of this while I'm changing them out of dresses, because I want her to be comparing all that she gets with purchasing here, the value of the dress, the value of what it means to be an authorized retailer. I'm going to be having that in the conversation in an excited talk with my friend, right? About what it means to be an authorized retailer and why this is an important question for her, right? And do you see when someone says, well, I saw this online and it was only 200, right? Objections, you're going to cross the board. You're going to start off with, oh, good question. Say that, please. Oh, good question. Yeah? Write that down, tell your stylist. Oh, good question. So yes, when gowns are online and they're a price like that, they will use the designer's picture. And this is so important for you to know, because as you're looking at it, it'll look just like the designer's picture. But what separates it from an authorized retailer is such and such and such and such. In fact, you can go on Jovani's website and they've got a whole description of how to tell the difference between an authorized retailer and not. And that's important for you for your protection of making sure you get the quality dress that you're looking to get. So yeah, that was a great question. Do you see that? Good question. Answer, answer, answer. Oh yeah, great question. Yes? Yes. Yeah, they do try, but yeah, but it's more prevalent in prom for sure. That's right. That's right. So listen to this. Exactly. And do you hear the answer? Are you hearing the answer about what it means to be your customer? That when they purchase there, they get to be a part of this sorority, they get to be a part of this club, and selling that actually moves the needle. Does it stop it altogether? No. Can it? No. I saw a thing on Facebook. There's an ad that came through of this company that now, because frankly, all of retail, of course, is facing this. You've seen it with malls just going down and going under and whatnot. But there's a thing on Facebook that came with this video, and it's a place that sells like surfwear, stuff to wear to go surfing in the water, whatever, all the stuff. Obviously, something you could get online very easily, right? But this store, what they did, now hang on to your hats, but they created an entire water slide in the ceiling of their facility. It is a mind-blowing water slide, and you're watching people go, "Wah!" and go down the water slide and go and go and go. Guess what? Do they get that on the computer? No. So people want to go to there, and do you think they'll spend more money or less at that place? More. And will they take pictures and put it on social media? Yes. Free advertising. Spending more, free advertising. How did they do it? They connect, understand what that customer would do to pull them from that computer. You create a moment. See, we tend to compete on the lowest level. We compete on price and on just the fact that we happen to have them hanging in our shop. We've got to get smarter than this, boutiques. We have to prove that we are better than clicking a mouse. There's got to be something more. It's not just what's hanging on the rack. Does that resonate? So it is. Connection is huge, and it is so huge. But however, I still will also value my pocketbook sometimes beyond that person, even though that's a huge part of the formula. I still will be like, you were super nice, but this one's literally $300 cheaper, so I'm gonna go, you know what I mean? So they can do that. However, if they could have these other things of what they value as well, it helps to move that needle, and it helps them to want to be in. The mom wants her daughter to be in. She wants her daughter to be popular. She wants her daughter to, we've got to create this buzz. We have to create this sorority so that moms want their daughter to have that. And I will say how to get moms to want it and how to teach the girls what we need to teach them. I think our sororities need to include who they are as an individual and what a mission is, what we can accomplish together in our community with our sorority. Don't make it only selfish. Make it something of, I believe your heart wants to make a difference. And when you're a part of this, together as a group, we're going to take send me your pictures and stuff, because we're making a collage of pictures of the girls making a difference in this community with what they've done with their prom choice. Give them a mission with where they're putting their dollar, right? Give them something beyond themselves, not just to make money from them, but to build the person, value the person, and the money follows. Do you see that? Build the person, value the person, the money will take care of itself. But it can't just be you walk in and I care about you, right? It can't just be that. It is that, but it's not just that. It has to have all this other things that they look at and go, oh, that. All my friends are getting to that, and I don't get to. And it's together as a staff, I want you to brainstorm on things that you know your customer would value, whether it's the moms, whether it's the daughters, whether it's the brides, whatever their perspective is. Jump back into that perspective, talk about what they fear, and talk about what they want and what they value, and how you can meet those needs with things you create that are over here and the dress is here. Because you've got the right dresses. You got Jovani, what? So like, but how to create it to where they're not going to as much go online. I keep saying as much because I will not give you 100% guarantee that they're not going to try it. They'll regret it probably, but not all. I will say, I do see your hands. I'll get your questions in 1 second. So hit save. Don't forget your questions. But I think it's amazing to all of us that if you watch the YouTube videos of the bride who did order her dress online and she gets this horrible knockoff, and you watch her open the box, because these are on YouTube if you haven't watched them, and she puts the dress on, and then she spends the rest of the time trying to defend why this was an okay choice. I mean, and the beading is nice. I mean, it's not exactly like the one, but it's nice. I mean, it was only $2.99, so, but I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, I think it's not as constructed as the one, but she'll spend a good 5 minutes defending this horrible dress because she put her money in it. And she doesn't want to feel stupid, So know that the more value we talk about and protecting them that we talk about, and relationship, yes, but then all these extras they get with it, then it can make somebody go, you know what, that is awesome. I'm going to go buy here. I was going to go online, but I think I'm going to go here. And you know what? I'm just looking for moving that needle like this to those. Because if we can keep that, once all these other stores die out because they have not defined themselves, they have no identity, once they die out, then you're still going to be strong, because they're worrying about the party at your place instead of just the gown. Do you see that? Yeah, questions? You are my girl. This is actually, yes, that is an important teaching in Do You Speak Bride? But you like, yeah, we need to chat because I was just saying this at dinner last night. It's you hear it, instead of answering it, say it back to them better than they can even say it to you. Then they hear you for the solution and they feel understood and listened to. Excellent. Very good. Question. Yes. Okay. Sure. Oh, yeah. Sure. Sure. Now I'll throw this into you as well. Let's go to his scenario specifically. Let's say we've created sorority. We've got parties, we've got everything we can offer them. We've connected with them well, we've sold the value. We are, I mean, firing on all cylinders. And the person calls to get the style number, right? Let's go there. And then what I want you to do is feel free to still operate within the connection you originally formed. Okay? Does that make sense? What happens is in that question, we kind of jump out of the relationship in a way and almost feel like because they're treating us like a business instead of a person, then we start acting like a business instead of a person. And so what I want you to do is lean in to the relationship that your shop has formed with her as if it is a true relationship. Does that make sense? And I want you to say to her, oh, okay, yeah, so the dress that you tried on before, oh, awesome. Did you find it somewhere? Are you looking for it somewhere? Just ask her. Ask her. And don't ask her like, you know, or did you find it somewhere else? Is that what you're asking for this? Right? Same words, different expression. See that? You have to practice this because it doesn't happen naturally. Our self-protection always kicks in and our frustration kicks in because we just spent 3 hours with that person who now will call back for the style number. So when they say to you, well, I just wanted the style number so I could look it up again for pictures or whatever, show it to my father or whatever, I need you to do this. I need you to first be excited that she loved it that much. Show your excitement that she loved it that much. Because that means you did an amazing job and you brought the right dress and you had that connection. You'd be like, oh my goodness, that's exciting. Because I loved you in that too. That was gorgeous. And I love that you loved it that much. So great. And you want to show dad? Perfect. Okay, so it's actually this designer. This is the designer that we carry. You can check it out there. And then I want to let you know too, remember what we talked about in the appointment, or maybe you didn't talk about it in the appointment, right? So if you're seeing it online, sometimes that can be tricky. Make sure you take dad to the real Jovani site because the wording's just not great on the knockoff sites. There you can kind of tell, and dad'll be like, who is this company? Is it legit? Jovani's completely legit. They have people that try to knock them off and they have people that try to undersell what they're supposed to do. But know this, their site, Jovani's site, you'll see our store on there. So dad doesn't worry about that. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm coming at it that's right, turned it around. I'm educating still while believing her. I'm believing her, so it frees me to come up with a way to talk to her. But see, when I doubt her, I then go against her. But if I celebrate with her and believe her, I can pivot that right around to keep educating her. Absolutely. Why? I made a friendship when she walked in. Almost everywhere that I go, when I ask stores, what do you want a customer to feel when they buy something at your store? How do you want them to feel about your store? The majority of the people, especially in the bridal industry, say, like family. I want them to feel like family. Except when they do something like this, then we're a business. Do you see the difference? And I want you to always operate on the premise that you are now family. Because that frees you to communicate even just perspectives of your own. See what I mean? You can communicate perspectives if you believe that. Question over here. You're fighting your natural tendency. Yes. And I love your approach. And I want to just add to it The way to educate about knockoff sites and this and this and this thrown into that conversation without looking like I'm doubting her. It's all, so if you can find the way to segue into that, because your approach is perfect, but I don't want you to be weak in your approach. I want you to still be strong enough to be able to get that information to them. Is that good? Yes. Awesome. Yes. Yeah, the Jovani link. I understand that, which is why it's so important. Are you hearing me? Everybody stop for a second. I need you to hear what I said. Hear it and take it in. It's not the link that is important about what I'm saying, the sending to them. It's that I have said to them, and know this, because as you go online, you could type in a style number and different sites are going to come up and they're this, and those are knockoffs. And why that's important for you to know is da 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 da. Do you see what I'm saying? Or that's a discounted thing. You have to be careful with da 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 da. Okay, good. Shaking your head. What is the difference? Yes. True. That's right. So, but see, I'm assuming that, and this is, again, it can be a different scenario if it's not someone who's come into your store, but I'm assuming we're talking about someone who's been into your store. And so the perks of your individual retail store are separate because of you than your competitor. And this is why I'm saying the lie is not that the designer name sells the dress. It is, we've got to brand ourselves. Brand yourself, right? Does that make sense? Nobody in my area can promise what I can promise to my brides with what we're creating because it's ours. I've actually had guests of the bride say to us when we talked about the texting, can I pay to be a part of that club? And I was like, if you want to buy a dress, yeah, come on, buy a dress. But see, they see it as a lot of value. We don't tend to value it as much. We just tend to assume all they want is the dress. But it's amazing how much value this does that I've spent no money on. And yet they value it so much that it affects what they buy. And I have to tell you, I have watched brides choose a dress in my store that was not as pretty as the dress they showed me in the picture at the beginning. And I've been like, when they showed me the picture, I've been like, oh, shoot, it's really pretty. And she looks really good in it. I can't beat that dress. And then she's about to pull the trigger on the dress. And I'm thinking, you're kidding, right? Like, sure, yeah. What, whether it's the setting, whether it's what we've created with the sorority, whether it's the connection, I think it's all of the above. But we can win even if somebody else carries that designer name. So if someone calls and just wants a style number from me, you know what I tend to think? I missed it on one of those things. I missed it on the connection. I missed it in the relationship. I missed it in the sorority. I missed it in selling her the value of the dress from us. And all I did was show her a Jovani dress. I didn't do all of that. Because if I do all of this, you know when they call me back? It's if they find it cheaper elsewhere, but they want to buy it from me. That calls me back, right? And so I worry about that cloud more than I worry about the few that if I nail all this, they still go online or to another. If they're going to another retailer, I have not done my job. See what I'm saying? I don't look at that person and go, you hit that ball too hard to me. I think, I got to work on digging. You know why that's different for you and why that's important for all of you to know? It's the difference between being a victim and being empowered. You're not a victim. You're empowered. You're empowered if you believe you are the difference maker. And nobody can take it from you. That's the beauty of it. You are the difference maker. You have great taste. You've got your environment at your store. I mean, I love looking at that store up in York, the pictures of the store. Mind-blowing. Heaven. Who wouldn't want to walk in there, right? Who wouldn't want to say, this is where I got my dress and take pictures in there? It's gorgeous. You may not have that kind of grand space, but your space itself has precious things. I'll tell you a quick story because I need to bring this for you to understand no matter what your store looks like, it can communicate a strong message. There's a store in upstate New York that I did a 2-day intensive at. Let me tell you, I walked into that store and there was like rules coming at me from everywhere, you know, no pictures, no, take your shoes off, all these rules. And then they had 2 very gross looking laundry baskets that you're supposed to put your shoes in and then pick out a pair of slippers that had evidently been washed for you to put on because they're in upstate New York. So it snows a lot. And so they don't want that in their carpet, right? But let me tell you, it's awkward to walk into a bridal shop with 2 laundry baskets and yucky looking slippers and to kick your shoes off. That's not how you expect to shop for a bridal gown. You know what I mean? There's a store in our area that I love that they do this, but they, as brides have told me, I haven't experienced it myself, but brides told me they put the net over your head. You have to wear the net, and you have to sanitize your hands. And she said, I stood there with the net over my head and my hands out like this. And I looked at my mom and I was like, is this what this is supposed to feel like? You know what I mean? But why did the store have the net over her head? What are they doing? Protecting their dresses. They're screaming to the customer, my dresses matter to me more than you do. I have to protect my dresses from you. Do you see that? It's messaging. We always are communicating, whether we realize it or not. So this store in upstate New York, I walk in, and I love this store owner. She's super sweet and sincere, but oh my goodness, it was just not a great environment. And I remember looking around, and I almost want to get my camera out, start recording what it looks like now, because this is going to be the before picture, and in 2 days you're going to see the after. But I didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be like, yeah, let's talk. What are we going to change? But there was this chair. It was like worse than the dad's chair on Frasier, with the duct tape it was like from a man cave, so bad and just ripped and gross. And I was looking at that chair like, why in the world would this be in a bridal shop, And so as we talked with the store and the owner, because I can only change what the owner will herself be a part of, because I can't leave and have just changed things myself. Does that make sense? It has to be through her, because it's an expression of her. So she's allowing us to move things and change things. So I'm going like this, and I just keep scooting the chair, you know what I mean, as we're moving things and scooting the chair and just thinking, what am I going to do with that? I don't know. I can't find a place. So finally, I said to her, I was like, so talk to me about this chair. And she was like, oh, that chair, I sat right there on the arm of that chair and learned needlepoint from my grandmother. And that's why I have a bridal shop today. And I was like, I just said, do you have a picture of your grandmother? And she said, yeah. I said, can you write out that story? We'll put it in a frame, and we'll put the picture with it. We're going to put it right by checkout with the picture and your needlepoint. And this now becomes a part of your brand. This is what I'm saying. Why do you connect with that? Why do you connect with that? Why do you not cry when I say, and here's the picture of Jovani's newest dress, put it right there by checkout? Abraham might cry. Tell me, why do you connect with it? It's personal, it's her story, it's human connection. Can anybody else have that chair? No. Should she tell her story? Yes. It validates her person, her path, her purpose. I didn't even mean to alliterate that, but someone write that down. It's what it is. Does that make sense? I want to encourage you, and this is one of the lies. This is the last lie of the 7, but we're here, so I've got to tell you. The lie is that your story is irrelevant to the business. Your story of how you got there, whether you're a stylist or whether you're the owner or whatever, or whether whoever you are as a part of your store, your story and your store's collective story, it's not irrelevant. In fact, it's the most important thing to communicate. Do you see what I mean? If I'm Nora, who owns that store, and if I'm talking to a bride, and as we pass, before we even look at this, or a prom girl, and as we pass that chair, every stylist and Nora herself needs to tell that story. Because then it becomes a little bit also more difficult for them to click a mouse. Do you know why I think a lot of people, not only because the web has gotten bigger, but I think our connection to people has gotten weaker. And so because it's weaker, why do they not just buy online? But if Nora can tell her story, she becomes a person, not a building. And people want to buy from people. They're only drawn to the internet if there's no connection to the person, if there's no other perk for not buying on the internet. But I have yet to see a bride who flies her mom from Connecticut down to North Carolina to watch her click a mouse. It's not that. It doesn't happen that way. Now, with prom, it is more prevalent online. I get it. And it's way more competitive online. And it's a tricky industry, which is why I'm telling you, and as I travel, this is what I find is the only key The stores that have an identity keep growing and surviving. The stores that have an identity keep growing and surviving. They know who they are. They know what's unique about them. They talk about it. They promote it. They put it out there, what they believe and why they believe it. Their staff has become celebrities inside their store. They treat their staffs as if they are a local celebrity. Does that make sense? They put them on video if they need to. They put them in dresses. They let them connect with the audience before they come into the store. But you know what I find, and please stick with me on this. If we go, designers are my identity. I take this designer, this designer, this designer. I plaster their posters everywhere because that's who I am, is all this designer names. And then but I am a nobody. I just go on the computer and look here. I don't like to be out in front of people. I don't like to really, I'm a nobody. And you know what you do? You keep making yourself smaller and smaller and smaller. And they don't see you and connect with you. They can't value you. And I want to tell you, I want your customers to know you and value you. And you know what's scary about that? Transparency is scary. Vulnerability is scary because when they reject your gown, then they've rejected you. It's safer to hide behind a designer. And if they reject the designer, I've got to find a right designer. It's scarier to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, isn't it? It's scary. It's like, but if I put myself out there and I'm not great on video, then they're rejecting me and I've ruined my whole business. I'll just leave my branding to the designers because they have better photographers. Right? It's a natural temptation. But I want to encourage you, Nora's ugly chair. Nora's ugly chair is selling her dresses. Do you see that? Now, don't have an ugly chair, but don't have a story. Get rid of that thing. Get it on out. But if you've got a cool story to it, have something that connects with you. Another one example, and I'll take the question in the back. I saw a hand go up there. Two. Okay. So I've seen you before. Have I seen you? Have you been to Do You Speak Bride Talk before? In the purple shirt. Right there. No? Why do you look so familiar? Maybe I follow you on Facebook and something. I don't know. Okay, well, hi. Welcome. Very lovely color. So our shop is located in an old theater, right? It was a theater in the early 1920s. And so it's the stage of what used to be an old theater. We have a spiral staircase, like 30-foot ceilings, and it's where so many stories played out before, right? So Gabe and I met on stage. So it's very romantic to us that this is where this happens. Do you think that story connects our customer to yes, indeed. And when we were at the shop, we're not at the shop anymore. We moved, our managers run it. But when we were there, and this is part of what we did that people thought was crazy, but when a bride would find a dress, because our background is drama and music, as soon as a bride buys a dress, Gabe and I would mount the spiral staircase, and we would talk to the bride and say, just want you to know the secret to having the perfect day is that you remember that it is about the fact that you and your love will be together forever. It's not about the details. Don't let the details rob you of the joy. It's about this. And we just want to share this special blessing with you. And then Gabe and I sang the prayer from the staircase. And we would stop the whole shop, turn the chairs, everybody would turn and face the spiral staircase, and we would sing. And when we were done, we'd come down, hug that bride, everybody get back into trying on dresses, right? We could do it because it's a theater. And it made sense with our story. And it was you see what I mean? Then the bride who's in a dress, who hasn't made her decision yet, but she gets stopped and has to sit and watch the song and hear the story and whatever, she's up. And do you think she wants to find that dress? Yeah. She's like, oh my goodness, this is so great. She's already crying. And we get back to this and we get back to it. Now, I'm not saying everybody should sing. I'm saying it's unique to our story. And it's what sets us apart. And now they go to another shop and all they do is say, well, here's this dress and this is, and they're like, I'm coming back to there. It's an experience. I get perks. I get the dress might even be a little more expensive at our shop, but it's okay. They love the value of it. Believe in this concept. And I want to just encourage your heart. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. It's everything. It's everything. And we'll get to talking about how to create more experiences specifically as we go on. Question in the back, and then I've got only 5 more minutes? 10 more minutes, good, yes. Yeah. Sure, exactly. Sure. Nope, that's great. That's great. And I think it's just interesting, depending on the customer and how savvy they are with what they've called around to get. They may or may not. I think the majority of them, especially with how you're sharing it, they're going to believe you. But there are, there'll be a few who are just going to be like, she's trying to keep that from me because, I know she knows the style number. Sure, exactly. They can go somewhere else. There's always that, and that's what I want to tell you. What you're doing to handle that is great, and it's working for you. And then this extras, they're going to go, right? They're going to go anyway. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Because, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. You're exactly right. To the point of talk to them based on the relationship you've established with them. Open that questioning. And if you've got the relationship and you're able to ask it well, you can without it being hurtful or defensive. Yes. They did. That's why you have to hold to the family. They did. Sure, sure. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I'm going to look or I'm going to sleep on it or any of those objections. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Yes. So very good. In fact, the question, how many of you are going to be here for the second session? Raise your hand. Okay, most all of you? Okay. If you're here for the second session, we're definitely going to jump into the exact things that you're asking there. In fact, I'll make sure it's written down because it's a part of it, but I don't want to not get to it because it's an absolutely important question to do for bridal as well as prom. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Okay. Yes. Yes. Right. Absolutely. We will hit that. Yes. 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 And it's at the end of the day when you feel so emotionally spent that you feel like you've got nothing as well to kind of give to them or whatnot. Yes, definitely. We will go into that as well. So we have emotional tabletop. We have this, I'm not buying today. It's my first time. We have back here that I've got other shops I'm going to. Yes? We're going to hit all three of those in the second session. All right, cool. We'll do that. Let me finish off by telling you quickly the rest of the lies. Is that fair? I'll try to do it really fast. Are you having fun so far? Okay, have you learned something or has something made you think of something a little bit differently? Yeah? Awesome, wonderful. Okay. If I can live in your store, I would pretty much do anything. If you haven't seen the pictures of their store, I love old buildings that are an 1860. What? Okay. All right, they're here to whoop. Okay, the third lie, they're here to take from me. And the truth is, they're actually here to receive. Keep that in mind. So the first one, their expectations are too high. The second one, the dress sells the dress. The third one, they're here to take from me. But the only reason we feel like they're here to take from us is if we have nothing that we're actually giving. You see what I'm saying? Remember the priest. All right. Fourth, you are powerless to influence their expectations. That's a lie. You are powerless to influence their expectations. And why that lie accrues to things like this is my first time, I'm not going to buy. It makes you feel powerless to influence their expectations, when in reality there are things we can say to influence their expectations. There are techniques we can use to make sure their expectations are right. See, wrong expectations doesn't mean that we've got to try to work to fix that wrong expectation. We've got to influence the expectation itself, change what it is that they think they're going towards. Like I defy the not to say, here's a 5-step plan to find the right person. And yet that's the most similar thing to finding the right bridal gown is the steps it is to find the right person. What are those steps? What is that formula? There isn't one. You never know when it's going to happen. You don't know. In fact, that's the beauty of the magic of it. It happens when you least expect it in the way you didn't expect it, even if it's somebody you knew since you were 5. Even if it's you're not married until you're 53, or you got married when you're 17. The principles of love are the same, but the stories are different. So we can speak in that language and connect with them better than just, oh, well, designers just copy each other. So when you go to all the other stores, you're just going to get white blind and you're not going to be able to see the difference between the dresses. And so, you know what? You're trying to figure out a way to make them just go ahead and buy. Instead of being able to speak in the language that resonates to them, they are in the language of love right now. That's what they understand. Their fears are connected. Anyway, we'll get into that. All right. So I get off. The next one. So you're not powerless to influence their expectations. I want your team to think of ways that you can proactively front load with your brides, with your prom girls, to influence their expectations. Because if I can influence the expectation, I can make sure I nail it. And I can make sure that it's something the other stores can't. Do you see what I'm saying? Influence them at the expectation point, and then we win. The next one, the problem is out there. That's a lie. The problem is out there, because then that's a victim mindset. Do you remember that? Problem is not out there. Listen, back in the day, and I don't have the dates. I need to look up the dates so I can. But back in the day, over in England, there was this horrible time period. It's about 40 years, you guys. And it was when women would give birth and then they would die. And it was right at the time when more medical research was starting to be done, where they would actually study. And so these doctors were becoming obsessed with, why did this happen? Why is this happening? So then in the mornings, they would analyze the corpses. They would look and analyze the corpses inside and out. And then in the afternoon, they would go and deliver babies. And they didn't know about the transmittance of germs. And it kept this epidemic going for 40 years. Until now I can't remember the guy's name, but until the guy who kept saying, wash your hands. It's your hands. Wash your hands. You've got to sterilize your instruments. You have to wash your hands and sterilize your instruments. And they were like, we are saving the world here, doing our research. They were the problem. So many times we can think we are helping to solve something, but we're actually getting in the way of the solution. So make sure you look internally as how can we improve and get better and fix and solve and work as a team to do, and not just assume, well, the blasted internet and the blasted this and the mean old competitor and the mean old... See, that puts our power out there. You don't have to live in that kind of a relationship. You can end that one, right? Move on. Okay, next one. We kind of covered this. So the designers are your brand. Good. We're going to, and then the last thing is the one I mentioned at probably number 3. Your story is not important, and that's a lie. Your story is everything. When someone asks you about your store, it should connect to you personally, who you are and your family and what you believe and what you're doing. Tell your story. And some people have told me, Wendy, but it's about the bride. It's not about me. It's about the bride, and I don't want to make it about me. But see, the bride can't connect to you unless you're a person. You've got to be a person. One more example, and then I'll be done. Are you ready? One more example. Store in the UK. Abigail, you can look them up. Abigail's collection in the groom room. I love these two, Abby and Rob. Abigail started it, right, a long time ago, and then Rob came on to do tuxes. Well, because of what's happening in the UK with Wed to Be, which is petrifying all of the stores over there, it's a chain store. Anyway, what's happening over there, everybody's freaked out because bridal has taken a 25% hit across the board with boutiques. Would you like that in your shop to go down 25%? So they're freaked out. In talking with Abby and Rob, they were actually having conflict because Rob's tuxedo side was actually outperforming the bridal side now. And so it was almost like she was like, I've got to do more because I'm supposed to be the lead one here. And we told them, hold on. But see, the two of you, how did you, talk to me about, as we were sitting over dinner, how'd you guys meet? They have the cutest story of how they met one night. She was out with her girls, he was out with his guys, and they tried to get in the same cab. How cute is that? It's out of a movie. And then they ended up, he was like, no, you can take the cab. And then he got the next cab and said, follow that cab. And then met her up there, talked with them. Their love story is so sweet. And now watching what they've created, I said to them, I was like, embrace that it's both of you. It's your story as a couple. What do you believe and what makes your love last? And why do you love working together and what you're doing? Put yourselves out there. Go live together at least once a month, if not once a week. Go live together. I want to see pictures of you in your lobby where this half is men, this half is women, right? You can see if you're coming in for tuxedos, you go that way. You can see the break in the lobby. I said, I would get a photographer and I'd have Abby stand on this side and you on that side and you hold hands in the middle and like, let's connect them to who you are and what you're doing and make them want to identify with you. Do you see how immediately you want to meet Abby and Rob and you want to find tux? And I would love to see Abby going down and like sneaking into the tux and Rob being like, nope, nope, nope. And then the opposite, nope, nope, nope. And then afterwards they go, I mean, it's so much you can play on with this. Your story takes some brainstorming on how to make it something that connects with everyone. But when you do, it's going to be the most obvious thing to you. And you're going to be like, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? Yeah, we should be together in this. Let's go together in this. And then move forward. But it gives you something inside that no one can take from you. No one can be Abby and Rob. No one can be Nora. No one can be Gabe and I. And no one can be you. You'll cease to worry about your competition. You'll cease to be ruled by designers. You'll cease to have your stylist believe excuses, and you'll find more fulfillment because human connection is what we are here to do. And the platform of your store is your platform to connect and make a difference in the world. Thank you so much. You've been an amazing audience so far. I can't wait till next session. Thank you.